Vedanta Sutra. So he, after writing all that, he sat down on the banks of Saraswati and he is very morose, feeling very morose. When he was sitting with morose, he was thinking, if my Guru will come, then he can clear my doubts. I can get the solution. So Narada Muni, always very merciful to his disciple. Vyasa was the disciple of Narada Muni. So Naradji, he came at the right time because he understood my disciple needs me, and he came and he sat down. With his divine Veena, he was in Narada's, what is Narada's age? How many years old he is? Now Narada is almost 432 crore years old. But his body never gets old. He's got a divine spiritual body. He's always and because of the Veena, this Veena was given to him directly by Lord Krishna when he appeared from the body of Mahavishnu at the end of Brahma's Kalpa. Not Mahavishnu, sorry, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu in the universe. He appeared when the Brahma's day began. One Brahma's day is known as one Kalpa. So in the previous Kalpa, Narada was a Gandharva. And that I will come to later. But we see that Narada's divine body is never getting old, and because of his constantly singing the Lord's name and pastimes by the Veena, he is always fresh, always enthusiastic, always kind to other living entities, always wanting to help others. So normally nowadays the media, they show Narada as a troublemaker everywhere. But that is gross ignorance of Narada's real character. He is a divine person. He is the Guru of all the great devotees in the Bhagavatam. Dhruva, Prahlada, Prachini, Bharhi, the Hayashrivas, and the Brigari, Valmiki. I mean, every great devotee, Narada has been the Guru. How can he be troublemaker? He is the trouble remover, actually. He removes all our troubles. He comes at the right time. He is His mercy. So, he is the Guru of Vyasa also. So when Narada came, Vyasadeva offered his pranam to his Guruji and did parikrama of his Guruji and offered a nice, beautiful sitting asana on the bank of river Saraswati. The Saraswati is flowing in the higher regions in the Himalayas. Now Saraswati, which is coming down, it has disappeared. Even in Prayag, in Allahabad, there is a million of Ganga, Jamuna and Saraswati. Saraswati has gone underground. It is not visible. But it is flowing right from Vyasadev's ashram. So Narada sat down and Vyasadeva just looked at him, and Narada already knew everything. Narada said, "My dear Vyasa, why are you so morose? You have written the Vedas, Upanishads and everything. Why are you so sad? Why are you sitting down and you have already achieved perfect self-realization. So why are you so sad now? You have what you speak of Vedas and the Upanishads and the Vedanta Sutra, you have also written the Mahabharata of 1 lakh verses. So why are you sad now?" So Vyasadeva said, "My dear Lord, my dear Guruji, you are like air." Air is pervading everywhere, it goes inside our body also, heart. So you know my heart also, you pervade the consciousness of all, you know the thoughts of all living entities by the dint of your spiritual advancement. So you can penetrate, you know everything. You please instruct me, my benefit. How do I remove my moroseness? How do I remove my dissatisfaction? So Narada, at that time, he looked at Vyasa and he said that Dvachas Chitrapadam Harer Yasho Jagat Pravitram Pragnihit Karhichit Savayasam Tirtham Utsanti Manasa. That Yatra Hamsa Nirmanti Ushikashayaha. Beautiful verse. Vyasadeva, when he spoke, you know what the first thing he spoke? Narada. He chastised Vyasadeva. Sometimes the Guru corrects the disciple. So Narada chastised. My dear Vyasa, you have written all the scriptures, but all the scriptures are good for only crows. So Vyasam Tirtham Utsanti Manasa. You have not written the scriptures for swans. Yatra Hansa Nirmanti Ushkashaya. The Hansas are not interested in all this. You have only glorified God in His impersonal form. You have not described His divine transcendental activities. So, I mean, the swan-like the souls are not interested in reading only a partial realization of God. So, God is in three forms: in impersonal Brahma, as the localized Paramatma, and as the personal Bhagwan or Lord Krishna. So he comes in three forms. So till now you have only glorified not glorified Bhagwan. You have not glorified Lord Krishna's transcendental activities. So he told his disciple that, my dear Narada, that literature which is written perfectly, but if it doesn't glorify the direct activities of Lord Krishna, the divine Leelas, then that literature is not fit to be read by even the it cannot purify the world, it cannot purify anyone. But that literature which is even written imperfectly, sometimes Sanskrit scholars, they find out faults in devotees. Books, Vaishnava books, they say this is not proper. But the point is, if the desire to glorify the Lord, Nama Yasha Ankitani Yat Shridvanti Gayanti Gridanti Sadhava, the real sadhus, they understand that in the literatures of the holy books, they are glorifying the Lord's divine activities, then they can purify the whole of creation, even though they may be written imperfect. So what is the use? You have written all this. Please, my dear Vyasadeva, please compose the direct scripture which will glorify the pastimes. Now you have attained the maturity of all your knowledge. You have written the Vedas, Upanishads and Ityasas and everything. Now you are fully mature. Now is the time to write the Shrimad Bhagvatam Mahapurana. And don't waste time in Bhagvatam. Right from the first shloka of Bhagvatam, directly glorify Lord Krishna. Don't go like this. Look at the nose. Two ways. Don't indirectly. So that is why Vyasadeva wrote, and in the first verse, in the second verse only, he rejected everything else except Bhakti. He said, Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmat saranam satam vedyam vastavam matra vastu jigadam tapatrayom Bhagavatam, Shrimad Bhagvatam Mahapuranam Amalam Vaishnavanam Param. That Ko-Para Ishvara. There is no other scripture required. Bhagavatam, Purana, Vaishnavanam. It rejects all cheating religion. Religiosity is nowadays in the form of religion. There is so much cheating. But Shrimad Bhagavatam is so pure. It rejects all kinds of impure forms of religion. It directly talks about because dharma, artha, kama and moksha, there are 4 steps in human life. Dharma means religiosity. Somebody practices religiosity with the aim to get wealth. Artha. then one gets artha, then one wants to fulfill the desires, kama, then one after trying to fulfill desires for whole life, one becomes frustrated and there is no happiness here, then one goes for moksha, liberation. But all these four are actually binding us to this material world. So the real form of religion is known as Sanatan Dharma, the religion of the soul is beyond Dharma Artha. It's a Pancham Purushartha, the fifth Purushartha. That is what Bhagvatam is talking about, the attainment of Lord Krishna. So Narada said, my dear Vyasa, please describe these pastimes and the great, just like the great authorities have described, and don't waste any further time. Let Bhagavatam be revealed to this world in Kali Yuga. So Vyasadeva was very happy to hear from his Gurudev, and then but then asked the question to Narada Muni, my dear Guru, please tell me, how did you get this divine form? I am very inquisitive to know that how did you get this divine form, and how come you are sitting in front of me in this form, how come you are carrying this veena, don't you ever die? And how come you can travel everywhere with this body? So please tell me. So Narada said,
you take it.
Narada described his story. He said, in the previous day of Brahma, I was a Gandharva in heavenly planets. His name was Upabharna. Narada's name was Upabharna. And his body was so beautiful. Upabharna's body, that very attractive, that all apsaras would hang around him only. Always they would want to be with this Gandharva Upabharna. So this Upabharna became so lusty because always being surrounded by the apsaras and always enjoying with them, that he would become intoxicated in the assembly of the apsaras. So one day there was a big Sankirtan Sabha in the Swarga, heavenly planets, the Prajapatis and the demigods they organized. So all Gandharvas were invited. So Upabharna was also invited. So he came there, but he came with all his apsaras, and everybody was singing Nama Sankirtana of Lord Krishna. But he came and his apsaras, and they started singing about him only, about Upabharna. And then they started singing about other devatas and all those things. They started singing. So all the demigods, they were singing about Krishna, and they heard, what is this disturbance going on? Who is this Gandharva? So puffed up, he has come in the assembly, and instead of singing about Krishna, he is singing about himself, how beautiful he is. So the Prajapatis became angry, and they cursed Upabharna, you are not fit for becoming Gandharva, you become Dasiputra. You become the child of a maidservant, Shudra. You take birth in the earthly planet. You are not fit for Swarga because you are not remembering the Lord. This was in the previous day of Brahma, not in this day of Brahma. Kalpa. One day of Brahma is 1000 Chaturyugas. And then the night of Brahma goes into the body of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, all the planets, 14 planets, they enter. Sleeping in the next, after the night, the next day they all come out of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu in this universe. And again the 14 planets get manifested. So this was in the previous day, 864 crore years back. Narada took birth as a child of the maidservant. And she was very affectionate to her child. She used to take care of her child, feed the child, but ultimately she was not independent. Ultimately, Lord Krishna is the controller. Even if our parents take very nice care of children, But if the children are destined to get sick, can the parents stop? No. Because ultimately Krishna's desire is that God is controlling everything. Actually we are the caretaker. So she was helping, but and he was very happy with her mother. And very, very fortunately, the 4 months of the rainy season came. They are known as Chaturmas. They start from around July to November, December, like that. 4 months, very conducive for spiritual activity. The great sages, they stop traveling and they stay in one place, in Chaturmas. So these 4 great sages, they were very, very great devotees of Lord Krishna. They came and they made a nice cottage near to the Narada's mother's place, and they were practicing. Every day they used to gather and do Nama Sankirtanam, do Bhagavad Katha and the pastimes. And this Dasi, she was very fortunate. She would clean the home, ashrama, bring flowers, serve these great devotees, wash their clothes, and sometimes get some fruits and other things also. And Narada, from his childhood, he was not so much interested in playing and other and frivolous activities. He would talk only whatever was required. Even when he was a small child, because he was kind of shocked. From Gandharva he became a child. So he would be very serious. He would talk only as much as required. And then these great sages came to the ashram. So Narada would, take all benefit of the association. He would sit outside and hear what they were speaking very attentively. With rapt attention, he would hear about Krishna. And, and these sages were very happy to see this child taking so much interest in that way. And then after this sages had eaten in the leaf, Narada, with their permission, would take that leaf, and whatever was balanced, their uchishta, Narada would eat their uchishta. So all the mercy, the kripa of those great saints came in the body of Narada. He also became very realized person, and ultimately after the 4 months of Chaturmasya was over, they were about to see Narada's mother. She's carrying the waterfall. She's in the back. So they were going to leave, but this child was so happy, so much sad to give up the association of these 4 great devotees. So they made the child sit down and they taught him all the confidential truths about Lord Krishna before they were leaving. And after this child heard and they left, this child was so happy, and he will always meditate on what his gurus have told him. And then by the providence, very sad incident happened. His mother, she was going to milk a calf to bring milk for the house, and when she was going, a snake came in the forest and bit the mother, and the mother died instantly. And this child was very, very young, 5 years of age, nobody to protect the child. And the child was, but the child was not at all disturbed. Imagine a 5-year-old child in the forest, can it survive? No. But Narada was totally fearless because he had heard from his gurus about Krishna, he is protector of everyone. So he said, okay, he accepted actually the death of his mother as the mercy of Lord Krishna. He said, whatever Krishna desires, I accept. He did not complain to the Lord. And he left the village home and he travelled all over. He went to numerous cities and towns and valleys and farms and forests and mountains and rivers. He passed through. He started from the north and he went to the south, east, west. Everywhere he travelled different places for a long time, and then ultimately he reached a very dense forest. This forest had full of jackals and owls and snakes. Aniruddha, will you go there? Will you go to a forest? So Bangalore is a concrete forest. I was asking Bilwati, can I go for a walk for doing my chanting? He said, no, this is all concrete jungle. So, forest is a dense forest when Narada entered. And actually that forest was the forest of Vrindavan. Narada did not know that because he came there before Lord Krishna. Krishna appeared 5,000 years back. Whereas this was crores of years back. So, but Vrindavan Dham always appears, Lord Krishna always appears in that same place once in a day of Brahma. So, these pastimes are always going on, that place is always the abode of the Lord. So, that dense forest, because the Dham had disappeared, but and then he came across a beautiful lake. He was very thirsty, very hungry. That lake is Madhuvan, one of the 12 forests of Vrindavan is Madhuvan. There's a big banyan tree. So that is the same place when Dhruva also, Narada's disciple went. So Narada went and he refreshed, he drank the water of the lake, and immediately his hunger, thirst, everything was ended. And then he sat down at the back, a beautiful banyan tree. He said, and now my journey has ended. He said, I feel that this place is so pure. This place I should meditate on the Lord. So he sat down and he fully concentrated his mind on the Lord. And because he was a child, from his very childhood he had thought only about the Lord. So his mind was so pure. Nowadays when we sit for meditation, we get all kinds of thoughts, Oh, how much rupees kilo this potato is today? Today what work I have to do? We get so many thoughts because from our childhood our mind is filled with so many other thoughts. But Narada's mind was so pure so that he immediately could focus, like a magnifying lens. When you put that heat, immediately it comes condensed. Focus at one point. So Narada immediately could focus his mind on the Lord, and immediately, because of especially he meditated on what he had heard from his gurus, mantra and the method, and immediately his mind transformed in pure love for Krishna. Immediately he attained the success of his sadhana. He became Siddha. He actually, pure love manifested in his heart. And suddenly the Supreme Lord appeared within his heart. In the core of his heart, the Supreme Lord Krishna appeared. And he simply closed his eyes and he was, with full satisfaction, he was looking at the beauty of the Lord in the core of his heart, in the lotus of his heart. And he was so satisfied because after Yasmin Labhyate Natar Anyatra Labhyatam Ichchati. After seeing Krishna, one will not feel like seeing anything else. One will not feel like acquiring anything else because he is supreme diamond. You get this diamond, then one doesn't want anything else. So he was so happy and so much bliss. He focused his vision on the Lord. And all his bodily parts, his hairs, stand on the end, and all his body became like floating in happiness. His limbs, he was so enlivened and absorbed in the ecstasy of the Lord. And Narada was telling Vyasa that, my dear Vyasa, if somebody sees the Lord, this is beyond description. I cannot describe to you. But then suddenly, the Lord vanished from my heart. And when the Lord vanished from my heart, Narada felt such a pang of sorrow that he jumped up. Suddenly he jumped up and such a shock. He cried He again sat down, again in deep meditation, trying to capture that form of the Lord, trying to again see that form. But if the Lord doesn't want to show, he cannot see. It's only the kripa. Even if we are great sadhakas, if the Lord doesn't want to appear, for thousands of lives we will not see him. But if he wants, then we will see him in this life. So Narada again wanted to capture him, but the Lord was not appearing. He felt intense disappointment, frustration, depression, sad. He was so sad, and he tried his sincere attempts again to see the Lord. And seeing the sincere attempts of Narada, the Lord spoke from a grave voice from the sky. The Lord said, "My dear Narada, you will not see me anymore in this life. Only one who is fully pure, who has no tinge of any material contamination, can actually see me forever. But you have some purification which is remaining. So you have to complete this purification in this life. And now I have given my darshan to you, so you will feel my separation in viraha, in virabhav. You will feel my separation from the rest of your life. You will meditate on me more intensely. So for the rest of your life you will think of me. Sometimes you think of the Lord more in separation than in union. In the thought of the Lord in separation is more intense. So you will think of me more intensely, the balanced part of your life, and at the end of your life you will attain me. Then you will see me forever." So Narada, first he became sad, but then he heard the voice of the Lord. He was very happy. He said, "Oh, one life is nothing to attain you. I am ready to wait for millions of lives. I have seen the beautiful form. I want to see that form. So one life is no problem." So Narada, in the balanced part of his life, he was wandering over the earth, and he was always humble and non-envious of every soul. He continuously chanted the holy names and pastime, meditated on his Guru's instructions and what he saw the Lord, and he became fully purified with no material contamination. And then at the end of his life, when he left his body, his soul came out of his body, and immediately the soul got a spiritual body. Which we see here, in spiritual form. But at that time, that was the end of Brahma's day. So all the Devatas, Brahma, all of them, they entered into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's body. So after getting the spiritual body, he also entered into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's body. Inside Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's body, you saw Brahma is sleeping for 1000 kalpas. He did not sleep because he got a spiritual body. But inside Brahma was sleeping, all the souls were lying dormant as per their karma. What happens is for 1000 Chaturyugas they lie dormant, and when they come out, immediately all their past karma in the previous 1000 Chaturyugas, they start again. So the Lord has memory of all the karmas of all the living entities. Wherever it stops, one resumes. So in that way Narada got a divine spiritual form, and he told Vyasa that, "My dear Vyasa, I will. That is how I got a spiritual form. So when I saw the Lord face to face, and then this kalpa he has come out, and he's traveling everywhere. He can come now here also, in Narada wants. He can come anywhere. He's still there in this kalpa. He is a divine spiritual form. He can go even to the spiritual world with the self-same body. Normally when we have to go to the spiritual world, we cannot go with this material body. We need a spiritual body. But Narada does not need to change bodies because his body itself is Atma. Atma and what shows no difference for him. So in that way Narada took his veena and he left Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva, hearing this from his Guru, Vyasadeva himself said that before I start writing Bhagvatam, I should also have darshan of the Lord. So Vyasadeva took the water Achmana purified himself, and he went into Mahasamadhi on the banks of Saraswati. What he had heard from Narada, he was deeply meditating, and ultimately Vyasa, by the mercy of his Guru, he saw Lord Krishna in his meditation face to face, and next to Krishna was a beautiful lady. She was sitting. Who was that?